Hello, everybody. It is Saturday, the 10th of January, and I want to talk about this shift of consciousness and that Christianity could actually survive this shift. Actually, of all the religions, Christianity has the best chance of surviving this shift. And we're talking about a shift, not a complete demolition. That's the thing. Christianity does not have to be completely demolished because the truth is already in the teaching. You're just following the wrong path. I want to show you this here. Now, but some of us, if that shift does not occur in the masses, some of us may have to make a decision. And I want to talk about that as well. I got a comment that said, is it possible to either isolate or perhaps insulate ourselves and continue living, surviving in this lie? If not, then shake up the foundation. A revolution won't suffice. A complete overhaul is required. That would devour everything. I'm afraid us as well. As I said, a complete overhaul is not required. I want to show you this here. But we can build on what was before, and that truth is already in the Christian teaching. Again, whether they want to hear that or not is a different matter. But the way of insulation and isolation is the way of the Hermetic Masters. And I want to show you this here. The lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding, the Kybalion. You cannot bring the truth to ears that do not want to hear. You bounce yourself off a brick wall. And, well, the way of the Hermetics was this. I read this as well. There are those who have criticized this attitude of the Hermetics and who have claimed that they did not manifest the proper spirit in their policy of seclusion and reticence. But a moment's glance back over the pages of history will show the wisdom of the Masters, who knew the folly of attempting to teach to the world that which it was neither ready nor willing to receive. The Hermetics have never thought to be martyrs, and have instead sat silently aside, with a pitying smile on their lips, whilst the heathen raged noisily about them, in their customary amusement of putting to death or torture the honest but misguided enthusiasts who imagined that they could force upon a race of barbarians the truth, capable of being understood only by the elect who have advanced on the path. And the spirit of persecution has not yet died out in the land. There are certain Hermetic teachings which, if publicly promulgated, would bring down upon the teacher the great cry of scorn and revilement from the multitude, who would again raise the cry of crucify, crucify. So I want to come to that in the end. There might be a choice that some of us have to make. Those that want to advance on the path of spiritual knowledge. But I come to that in the end. Let me first talk about Christianity. Because there is, I don't know how many, 2 billion people? There is a structure already built in this world that could serve the truth. And as I said, it would only take a small shift. It doesn't have to be total destruction. And it is the better way to build on what was before. I mean, it's like Bruce Lipton and others saying we should go the way of the butterfly, destroy everything. I don't know why we keep comparing ourselves to insects. Yeah. Same with the hive mind thing, it's a bee thing. Yeah. Last time we looked, it might work for insects. But last time I looked, we weren't insects. Why do we keep saying we should do like insects? Anyway, so if you were to go toward this Christianity thing and a full-on assault to destroy the whole thing, they will defend it. Trust me, they will defend it. And I'll tell you why. Because they have invested their life energy in this thing. They love Jesus. They have invested their own energy of love in this thing. And if you are trying to tear it down completely, they're fighting for their survival. I mean, I think they're literally fighting for their survival. And they will fight. So, no. Now let me show you the truth and the small shift that has to be made. That shift has to be made. And that is this. When Jesus was in this world, a human being, a flesh and blood human being, he did many things. Again, believe it was the truth. I do. I believe that was the truth. He performed what the Bible calls miracles. Again, miracles are a cause that you do not recognize. Magic is something that you do not know or understand. There is a cause, and that cause is real. That cause is not physical. That cause is spiritual, but it is real. It is an expanded awareness of the reality of ourselves. That is the knowledge he brought. Not only the words, but he showed that it was real. In the miracles that he performed, he showed that that was truth. He brought the proof, not just the words. And that is the knowledge that should set you free. That is the truth. That is the way to life. So it is the living human Jesus that you should follow to find that knowledge within you, and he preached the all. Yeah, the kingdom within you and all around you. The all is within all, and we are in the all. He preached all of that. That is old Hermetic knowledge. It is knowledge, it is occult knowledge, what he did. He was channeling, it was manifestation, it was transmutation, it was alchemy. That is what he did. That is what he showed. Under the law of love your neighbor as yourself. Don't do unto others what you don't want done to yourself. Yeah, on any level of causation. Don't do unto others what you don't want done to yourself, and continuously give to one another. That was the teaching and the truth of the living human Jesus. And that was the knowledge that was in humanity in the mystery schools. That is what he did. Right. And then he revealed the truth of what it is we're actually worshipping as a God. Again, he showed the truth of that. That was the truth of New Jerusalem, which is a cube. And the armies of heaven will come out of the cube and slaughter everything around them. Plagues will be poured out by the angels of New Jerusalem to kill humanity. That is the truth of the God that we worship and that Christians worship right now. Again, I would say he revealed that truth with the thought that we would know good from bad. Say that was a very big assumption on his part, because right now people don't seem to be able to know that is actually bad. I mean, it should be obvious, but apparently not, because people are in the big delusion, calling good evil and evil bad. And why? because Paul taught that the full undestruction of humanity as the way to salvation. And people bought that. I don't know why, but they did. So Christians are in the great delusion where they're calling good evil and evil good. Whereas they're calling that good, they're calling the spiritual knowledge of a human being occult, witchcraft, evil. There is the complete flip of good and bad. Now again, in order for Jesus to reveal that truth of a kingdom that was not of this world, he had to shift into that world in order to know it. Yeah? He had to become one of them. He had to become part of that kingdom in order to know it. And that was his sacrifice. In order to reveal the truth, he sacrificed his humanity in order to reveal that truth. That is the way of the cross. That is the way of denial of self. And that is what happened in the tomb. It was a shift of consciousness into another form of being, and not a better form of being. But Paul was not lying. Paul proclaimed from the beginning, I am teaching the crucified and the resurrected Jesus. I am preaching the Son of New Jerusalem, which is what Jesus became from being the Son of Man to the Son of God of New Jerusalem. That was the shift. That was the sacrifice in order to reveal. So Paul says, I am proclaiming the resurrected Jesus, and every Christian says that. I am going to New Jerusalem. I don't know why, but apparently you're going there. Becoming a part of the killing machine that is New Jerusalem. Becoming part of the destroyer. Shifting your consciousness by denying yourself to become part of the destroyer. That is what you're doing. To become a servant to that killing machine. So, okay. So the shift that has to occur in Christianity is, don't follow the crucified and resurrected Jesus. Follow the living Jesus. Don't follow the Son of God of New Jerusalem. Follow the Son of Man. Don't follow the way of denial of self. Greater things will you do. Become aware of what you are as a human being, of all those other layers of yourself and what it is you can do. And greater things will you do. Don't follow the crucified Jesus. Follow the living Jesus. And don't see Jesus as the one Son of the one only God. Yeah, the Father is within me. The all is within me. The all is within all of us. That was not just his truth. He showed, or he tried to show, that the truth was in all. The disciples worked miracles. And they were not high up, people. They were fishermen. They were pub owners. They were tax collectors. And the truth was within them. And they could work that truth. That is what the living human Jesus showed. So follow that one. That is the shift you have to make. From the crucified one to the living one. You don't have to do away with Jesus. Just follow the correct one. And then the way, the teachings of what we are of the fullness of our truth on several layers. That truth you may not find in the New Testament, because it was for the most part written out of it. There are a few teachings in there that will lead you on that path, but I say it's very little, because Christianity as it stands concentrates on the denial of self, the crucifixion, the death of the human self to be gloriously resurrected into becoming part of a killing machine. So to find that truth now, what he was talking about, the all being within you and all around you, the things that you can do, you may have to go outside of the New Testament. I mean, again, that was not just his knowledge. That was the knowledge that was in this world before Christianity went and destroyed it completely. And declared that knowledge to be evil. Again, there's the flip from, calling good evil and evil good. But I mean, that the teachings are still in this world. They are in the Kybalion, they are in other Hermetic teachings, they are in alchemy, they are in many different paths of spiritual knowledge. Again, at every step, there are many paths that went the wrong way. So many paths that went the wrong way. Christianity wasn't the only one. So be very careful. Always be the judge of what it is they are telling you. Again, always go within yourself and see, is that your truth? And if it's not your truth, don't follow it. But, as I said, Christianity, of all the religions, is the best set to survive the shift. Just shift from the dead Jesus to the living Jesus. Just shift from the only Son of God to an ascendant master, a teacher. You can keep Jesus. You can love Jesus if you want to. As a teacher, as a master. So, Christianity could easily survive this, and if they make the shift, as I said, there's already a great organization in this world that could work this. Question is whether they will make that shift, whether their ears will open to the truth. And if it doesn't, this world is going into total destruction. It will. And here comes then the question for some of us, will we follow that path just for ourselves? Go into isolation and insulation. And here's the thing, if you go that path, you will put yourself in isolation. You will no longer be a part of humanity, of this world as it stands. And it might be a lonely place you're going to. And I'm hoping there are others there that are already on that level. But you are leaving humanity as it stands, the physical. And you must understand that you are taking yourself out. So, but I think for some of us, that might be the only way to survive. If there is no shift occurring in the masses, then that might be the only way out. If you cannot save all, save yourself. I mean, the Hermetics say they don't believe in martyrdom, and to be quite honest, neither do I. I never have done. And I have actually said from the beginning of this path that I would not go to the cross. I do not believe in self-sacrifice. Sorry. And here comes the point of decision for every person themselves. And whether we want to go into that other reality and isolate ourselves from the rest of humanity. Now, up to now, and people have criticized me for saying, I talk about these things, but I'm not doing them. Which is true. I was on the path of understanding, to even understand what the hell is going on here. What are we even talking about? Yeah? To isolate some sort of scientific truth from the fairy tales. What is actually real? And I'm not apologizing for the path that I was on. Because, and again, the Kabbalion says that the words of wisdom will only be heard by the ears of understanding. So you need to go onto the path of understanding first. And the other thing is that in this world, in the physical, if you were to go and operate a very complicated piece of heavy machinery without knowing what it is you're doing, the outcome would most likely be destructive for yourself and for others. You need an understanding of what it is you're doing before you do it. And as below, so above. It is no different in the spiritual. That is a piece of complicated and heavy machinery. Yeah? And you need to know what it is you're doing, or there will be consequences. Because the laws of the all, the Hermetic principles, go through every level of consciousness, every stage of consciousness. There will always be cause and effect. There will always be action, and there will always be consequences. You will never, ever, no matter how high your understanding gets, you will never get above the law. Never. The law will always be there. And there will be consequences. So for those who say, just go and do it. Yeah? Do away with fear and to hell with the consequences. To me, that is not wisdom. That is the way of the fool. So I am not apologizing for the fact that I had proceeded with caution up to this point. But as I said, we might come to a point where some of us have to make the decision that we've said what we've said. It's up to them whether they want to listen. And if they go into destruction, it is folly to go with them, if we know about a different way. So maybe we have to make that choice to isolate ourselves. And into isolation we will go. That needs to be understood. And then for me, I think I'm ready. I've said what I've said. I leave the videos sitting on the internet. If there are ears to hear, you need to go onto that path yourself. There's nobody else that can do it for you. You need to do it yourself. And as another thing is said in the Emerald Tablet book, and that is, those who know do not speak. No, those who speak do not know, and those who know do not speak. And that is the thing. You're on the path, I am on the path of understanding. All my energy is on the path of understanding, and if my energy is on that path, it is not on the path of knowing. You cannot be in two places at the one time. Well, I can't anyway. So, if you go onto the path of knowing, you will have to put all your energy onto that. You have to make the choice, and then you have to stick with it. So that means I cannot talk about understanding whilst trying to know. If I make that choice now, then I have to stick to that path. And as I said, I think I'm ready to do it because this world is lunacy. And there are so many ears that will not hear. And you cannot make them hear. You can't make them. That is the downside of self-determination. Yeah, they have self-determination. If they refuse to hear, then they have the right to do so. And they can do so. That's a reality you have to live with. Anyway, yes, I think if we start, some of us want to start going on to the path of the true student, then that is where our energy has to be. And then we have to leave the rest of the world to their lunacy and isolate ourselves. Right. But again, my last attempt to reach Christians, listen to what I've said. A small shift and you will be in the truth. And you can survive. And you can love Jesus if you want to. You don't have to do away with that. Just build on the right foundation. On the foundation of the living Jesus, not the dead one. I leave it at that for today. And, well, we'll see when I talk to you again. Bye.